We go out to the fan hotline. You'll hear him Saturday after the game is done. He's part of the Browns radio network. His name is Tyvis Powell. He joins us here on the Fan. Tyvis, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing well. Nice, beautiful day here in Columbus. Getting ready for tomorrow where we see the Browns finale. So it should be exciting.
I love that you drive like you just always come up from Columbus to Cleveland in these like 2-hour drives. It would drive me insane, Tyvis.
You know what? You get used to it. And it's like a game. It's like to see how fast, if I could beat my time that I got there the last time, like that's the game that I play.
And before you know it, you're Myles Garrett, and then you're beating your time every single time, and you're like, oh no, how am I so good at this?
Well, Miles got me by like 20 miles per hour.
Tyvis, so you walked into a conversation we were having. Daryl had a theory about the impact of tomorrow's game, and I'll pose the question to you. Is there any chance tomorrow turns out to be an audition for Shedeur to be traded?
No, I don't think that's the case. I think they look at Shedeur as a guy that, first of all, if he gets traded, it'll be an uproar in the city. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they really want to deal with that. I do get that having Shedeur on your teams comes with a lot because of who he is and all the national attention. But this is the thing, for once you got national media talking about you. Focus is on what the Cleveland Browns is doing. That's something that we haven't had a lot of because there hasn't been a ton of winning. So if this season is not going to be a winning season, at least make it interesting. And I think having him on that roster makes it interesting. He's a guy that people absolutely want to see. People will pay money to come see. And from a business standpoint, I think he sells tickets. And I think that's the thing. If this season starts to go bad, people will still come to those games just to see what Shador Sanders do. So I personally don't think that they would want to trade him. I think that he's done everything right. He's been unbelievable since he's been in Cleveland. The things that he's done in the community in Cleveland, it'll be an uproar if Shedeur Sanders is not a Cleveland Brown this season.
Is tomorrow a bigger day for Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel?
I think it's a bigger day for Shedeur. I think right now, as things stand, they're very comfortable with Dillon Gabriel. If something happened to Joe Flacco, I think that they believe that Dillon Gabriel could still be a good game manager. With Shedeur, obviously he got the higher upside, but there's other things that's obviously stopping him from moving up the depth chart. So I think that for him, he goes out there and he balls again. The thing about football is you can't keep playmakers off the field. If he's really moving the needle like that, and maybe he don't understand the playbook, if that's what the case is, or he can't handle a lot, there's so many different ways to handle it. You can always put a wristband on a quarterback, but you can't stop a guy who's making plays, because if everybody on the team is seeing it, the city is seeing it, that this guy's making plays and doing great things every time he's in there, it's going to raise a bunch of eyebrows to the team, to the other 52 guys in that locker room, to what's really going on if you don't put him on the field. So I think for Shedeur, he can cement himself by having a good showing tomorrow.
What is it about Dillon Gabriel do you feel like the Browns like?
I think he does a really good job of handling, due to the fact that he's been in multiple offenses. They probably threw the playbook at him, and he did a really good job of accepting what it is, being able to command the offense and things like that. Obviously, you've seen the motions and all the extra stuff in his game, so I think they just love the fact that he can do that. I know one thing that Dillon Gabriel is really good at, he is exceptional on third down. I think he went, 6 for 6 in the game? That's exceptional. But the biggest difference between him and Shedeur is Shedeur gets to the red zone and he scores touchdowns. There was a couple of times Dillon got to the red zone and they settled for field goals. Obviously, as you boys know, in the NFL, 7 points and 3 points could be the difference of a game.
Tyvis, Kevin Stefanski told us yesterday 20-25 plays for the starters in the game. Is some guys, like Myles Garrett, probably going to get less than that. But what are you looking to see from these starters tomorrow, besides getting out of this thing healthy?
Obviously, that's the most important thing. Just good fundamental football. I don't want to see, like on the defensive side, I don't want to see no guys give up no explosive plays. I want to see that the communication is great in the secondary, because that's something that comes back to haunt us every single year. Every single season there is some type of miscommunication, and we give up some big play. So I just want to see that everybody is in sync. As far as the offense goes, just smooth. I think that when you look at the young guys that went in there, whether it was Dillon, whether it was Shedeur, those guys was able to drive that team down the field and put up some type of points. especially early on in the game. So I'm not expecting anything different from the starters. I would love to see those guys go out there and put together a really good drive and then make us feel confident that they're clicking on all cylinders. So when they play Cincinnati, they can come out and be fresh. But for me, I just want them to knock the rust off because these guys haven't played in the game since the last game of the season last year. So for me, it's about not looking rusty, making sure that you're ready to go for Cincinnati.
I got to ask you about the wide receivers, and I know you know DeAndre Carter, so I'll let the audience in on that one if there's like a big DeAndre Carter push. But I'm with you in the idea that you got to have someone return kicks. You can't just ignore that, right?
Yeah, that's my boy.
So all right. So Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Jamari Thrash, Isaiah Bond. I think we can all agree those 4 are locks. I put your boy DeAndre Carter in there as well. I think that's 5. Are the Browns carrying more than 5? Are they going to carry 6? And if they are, who's that going to be?
It's interesting because if I think it all depends on what they do with the quarterback situation. If they carry 4 quarterbacks, you got to make a cut somewhere, and it could potentially be at wide receiver. Why do I say that? Because if they were to cut, like right now, I think the last spot is between 3 guys. What is it? Caden Davis,
Gage Larvin, and then Deontay Johnson.
And Deontay Johnson. The thing about those 3 guys is if you cut those 3 guys, I don't think nobody's claiming those 3 guys, so I think you can sneak those guys in on a practice squad.
We should probably throw David Bell in the mix there, too.
Yeah, but I forgot all about him.
Me too.
Anyways, I think that you can sneak those guys through waiver. When you get to this point of the season, it's about who. If we cut this guy, are we comfortable with this guy not being a part of our team? That's what you have to be cool with. And at the quarterback position, however you feel about all 4 of those quarterbacks, I think all 4 of those, if you cut any of those 4, somebody will take a flyer on those 4. So with that being said, I think you look at that wide receiver room, and they're not the big names. Deontay Johnson has had the issues in the league, so he even came out and said the Browns was his last opportunity, that that was the only team that gave him a phone call. So he knows, like, he has to try to make this roster if it doesn't work out. So with those 3 guys, I could see them going with 5 and keeping like 2 or 3 of them on practice squad because they will be available.
Tyvis, with Denzel Ward now banged up, I know the team's saying it's it's not serious, right? But they said the same thing about Greg Newsome, and then we didn't see the guy for 3 weeks. So I kind of have to take it's not serious with a grain of salt. But am I right to be a little nervous about this Browns secondary all of a sudden?
Yes. Yeah, I'm nervous. You nervous. If they are one injury away from this thing being like 7-on-7 type deal this year. I mean, especially thinking about the first game of the season. They're going up against Joe Burrow and those receivers over there. So, yeah, it's something to definitely be worried about for sure. Now, I do believe Denzel is one of those guys. If it's not lower body, I think Denzel would play. When it's lower body, that's when you got the issues where it's like I can't really do the things that I want to do. If it is a shoulder, maybe he lay some tackles, whatever. They say Shedeur Sanders used to do it all the time, but as long as he's covering guys, ain't nobody gonna say anything to Denzel. So I think that Denzel will be able to play in that first game, no matter what everybody's saying right now. I think that just because it's an upper body injury and it's not affecting his legs or his speed, I think that he'll be able to play in that game. But they do have other issues they need to figure out, especially that nickel position. I love to see Nick Needham probably take that spot. I know he was at safety. They're moving him to corner and all of these things. I think he could be a guy that could fill that role at that nickel position if Sam Mitchell doesn't have a good showing tomorrow.
Tyvis Powell on the Fan Hotline, of course. He's part of the Browns Radio Network. You'll hear him tomorrow on these airwaves with Jeff Phelps after the game, reacting to the big preseason game, final number 3. I do have to ask you about the conspiracy theory that's been floated around there with Eric Dickerson. The NFL told teams not to draft Shador Sanders, is what he's claiming. Do you buy anything into this?
No, I don't. I know that's what people want to believe because it is shocking that Shedeur didn't go high in the draft. It's very shocking that he went down to the 5th round, and people are just really searching for answers to why that happened. So people come up with their own theory. The bottom line is this, and I hate to say this, I might ruffle a couple of feathers. I don't mean no disrespect to anybody that's listening to this. I just want you to know what it is. if a player is that good to an organization, they could care less if you tell them not to draft him. Roger Goodell can tell them not to draft him. If that dude is a bona fide baller and can be a difference maker in their team, they are drafting him. It's so many guys that get drafted that have off the field issues every single year, and people are like, "Oh, don't touch them," or it's injuries that come up in their report, or they had some type of dispute or something like that, and guys still draft the guy. So therefore, it don't matter what Roger Goodell said. If people felt if they felt Shedeur Sanders was truly that guy, they would have taken him in the first round. The fact that they didn't shows that there is something which nobody can seem to have the answer for, but there is obviously something about him that they weren't comfortable with.
It's the old adage, right? Production breeds the tolerance, right? I mean, there are folks in the National Football League who have been accused of crimes, who have been tried for crimes, and they're in the league. They're still playing. So, yeah, I respect Dickerson, but when I heard that theory, Tyvis, I just sat there and rolled my eyes. There's no way the league office went around and said, yeah, nobody's allowed to draft this kid. Like, come on, man.
Listen, Shedeur is an unbelievable kid. I mean, he's a player. I mean, just a human being. The stuff that he's been doing is amazing. He's been wonderful since he's been here in the city of Cleveland. So we appreciate the fact that he's here in Cleveland. But and so that's what it is. Everybody sees how good of a guy he is. He seemed to do really well in college. Why is it that this guy went fifth round? And everybody is going to come up with so many different things to why this kid fell to the fifth round, because it doesn't make sense. But you know what? While they fishing for that answer, they also need to fish for why Tyvis Powell went undrafted. Because I still don't have that answer either.
It's because they knew Tyvis. They're like, I see this guy. He's going to, in the final preseason game, he's going to game the system so that he gets a pension, and we know this about him, so we'll just go undrafted.
Listen, hey, man, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, you know. I think for any veteran out there that's done 3 years in the NFL and you on the bubble and you don't know if you're going to make the team, this is the game to get injured. Because if you get injured and they put you on IR for 3 weeks, that counts towards the pension, and that's what you ultimately want.
Can you tell Daryl that story really quickly with you and the final season of your career?
Okay, yeah. So I was with the Dallas Cowboys in the preseason, and I had told them in like the second game, I strained my quad, right? So my quad muscle. So I've been telling them all year. This is back when you got 4 preseason games too. So I told them yeah, my quad is messed up. They well, to be honest with you, Tyrese, the only way you're going to get this better is if you rest. Due to the fact of your situation, you can't afford to miss no games. So I'm like, yeah, you're right about that. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, they know my quad is messed up. So even if I don't make the team, they got to pay me because they know my quad is messed up. Well, what I didn't know is when you get injured in the league, a team can't release you. When they release you and put you on IR, they only nurse you up so you could be healthy enough to play in the game. That's what they go off. Is the guy healthy enough to play in the game?
Yep.
Well, for my situation, what better way to say that Tyvis Powell is healthy by him playing in the game? So I was, in my mind, I'm thinking I was good either way, which in all actuality I wasn't, because I was playing in these games. Fast forward to the last preseason game, I ended up running down on kickoff, and I pulled my hamstring. And I was devastated because I'm like, this was my last shot to make this team. I know now that I done pulled my hamstring, it's done. I'm not going to make this team. Sure enough, the next day, they called me in. Tyvis, we're going to release you, but obviously you hurt, so you're going on IR. So I'm like, okay. So I'm still thinking to myself, I got to get 3 games. This, I didn't know that the IR count towards your thing. So I'm sitting there after the first week of doing rehab. They called me in. They say, Tyvis, we want to offer you a deal. We want to give you 4 game checks. And I said, does those 4 games count towards my pension? They said, yes. I signed that paper so fast. We ain't even got to talk about. I don't need to talk to my agent. Let's just go ahead and get this done. I go back to Cleveland and rehab.
That's great.
And that's how I ended up getting my picture.
Business of football Hall of Famer you are.
That's exactly right. Tyvis, fantastic insight as always. We'll be listening tomorrow. Enjoy the game and enjoy the ride in.
I appreciate y'all. Go Browns and always go Bucks.
All right, great stuff. Thank you. Tyvis Powell right there on the Fan Hotline.